Welcome to Tales episode 38. Subsequent to the last episode, within 24 hours, that sort of achy, cold, seasonal sort of cold, like symptoms, achiness in the body, had completely gone. That's the speed that things seem to be happening more and more. This last full moon, to me, feels very much like a closing of a chapter and the start of a new one. Although I'm totally aware the end of October is all about Halloween, I was reminded today about it's the thinning of the veil, so that makes perfect sense. So starting to see things at an increasing rate of sort of revealing, shall we say. And there's been some wonderful interactions. This is something that Yolanda has spoken about on True Love channel, about how the television and the radio is interactive. So I'd like to start off by giving testimony to that. Some of you are probably aware there's a second channel, the WAB-ART Productions channel. The link to that is in the description. I'd started doing a sort of year-long countdown to the 200th birth anniversary of Anton Bruckner, 1824, so the celebration to be in 2024. So my personal input into that is to make a series of videos on what I hear in the music. And it's amazing how time flies by so quick. So we'd got to the end of October, and on the radio came this Symphony Number 2, and I thought, yes, I get what's being sort of hinted at here. This is Anton Bruckner saying, don't forget you're supposed to be making a video. And of course, coinciding with this video series where I'm taking first performance dates, commencement and completion of various pieces of music that Bruckner wrote with the dates and things. So 26th of October in 1873 was this Symphony Number 2, so that became the topic of a little video. So thank you, Anton, for the reminder. And it's a wonderful piece of music. I'd forgotten how good it sounds to me anyway. So the main part of this video, I wish to talk about being selfish. Now, we all know the accepted view, which is the negative view. So is there a positive view, bearing in mind we are in a realm of duality? So that was revealed in the etymology of the word selfish. So the S for spirit, the E for energy, the L for being on a leg. So it's referencing in human form. So spirit, energy in human form. The F is phi, so it's half of pi. So just like in this reality, we only get to see half the thing. We only get told half truths and half lies, pretty much across the board about everything. Then you've got, after the self, you've got the I, the individual, the spirit, and the H for human. So that's how I would interpret the word selfish. But what is its positive aspect? Well, that comes down to effectively putting yourself right internally, the going in work, as it were, the inward journey, which will then radiate out a completely different energy to this interactive external world. Now, when you're sort of doing for yourself, as it were, people will say, oh, you're just being selfish. It's like the negative thing, because maybe they've got expectations that they want you to do a specific thing at a specific time that's not convenient to you. So you get that accusation of being selfish. But when you're looking at things in the long term, which is what the system, which a lot of channels point out, these things are planned over long time periods. So in that surely is also a clue that we should perhaps look at things in the long term. And this spiritual journey is a lifelong thing after all. Personally, I feel I've got to a point where every day is one of gratitude, and it is one of bliss. Nothing particularly exciting happens that's so far out, because obviously in the world of duality there needs to be a counterbalance, so I don't really want something really negative. So it's a pretty sort of even flow. Incidentally, that's actually reflected in the little stream at the bottom of the valley here, and we've got flowing water. And nature again is like it's an observation, which also reminds me, if you go down any of these conspiracy theories, you will be amazed. And I hope you've taken a ball of string so you can find your way back out of it, because that's exactly what it'll turn out to be, a maze, but a maze in the past tense, so it's a maze dead. Ultimately, all you're ever going to find out with any conspiracy theory, from my experience, is we've been lied to, or things are not as we've been told. But how does it actually benefit us? Even if we got to the bottom of the rabbit hole and found the definitive answer, how would we really benefit? I appreciate that it's an interesting things to look at, and they can be very absorbing, but that is also the problem, because they're taking you away from doing that internal work. It's getting you to look outside of yourself again. It won't really give you any beneficial answers, whereas if you do the internal work, that is the greatest benefit you could ever hope for, because as I've just said, I've reached this point where every day is just gratitude and bliss. And it's a beautiful unfolding. I do get a little bit frustrated with the window of dry spells and daylight are considerably less. But I never get bored. So even in I feel the solar panel is reflecting of pick your moments. See, also with the body, it's it can only do so much, so then it needs to be topped up again, and it certainly does get topped up when you're out in the sunshine. It feels lovely. So I've made a raised bed today and done a bit more stonework. Little disappointed, because I'd like to have done a lot more, but that's the same thing every day. But let's flip the polarity on that, and it's something to look forward to that I can probably do tomorrow, because I shall just manifest some dry weather again. If not, we'll work around things accordingly. We'll have a backup plan of there's other things where there are other things I can do anyway. So again, it's something that the system shows of playing two sides, so whatever the outcome, it's a win. So what's to stop us doing that? We're all good at manifesting the things we don't want. We're all good at manifesting the things that we worry about. And of course, in doing that, you're putting energy to it and drawing that very thing that you don't want towards you. So it's just flipping the polarity over on and still doing the manifesting, but instead of as worry, you transmute it into feeling like you already have whatever it is that you wish for, or whatever it is you desire. And you set a course for that. You are your own navigator and captain of the vessel, hopefully. And you're not being influenced by strange cross currents and things that effectively double cross you. Oh, while I think of it, this was something I was going to say on video. whatever country you're in, you may, because I hear there's rumours of wars and possibly wars somewhere out there, but I don't watch anything that really... I've got no interest in it. It doesn't affect my daily life. So in a way you could say that is being selfish to some extent. But what could I do to change it, even if I was aware of it? In this, as a physical being, very little. And how do I know that whatever is being told is even true either? So we just don't go down that road. I've got plenty to occupy me here. So when a government declares war, my advice would be to say, well, okay, government, you've declared war, you go and sort it out. Don't expect us to do it for you. It seems quite clear to me that this perception of these controllers, this dark side, only have the illusion of power. They only have the power of suggestion. And a huge infrastructure to try and make things look real, give the appearance of things looking real, which I feel was shown very clearly in 2020 and subsequent. Of course, there's been other events and things throughout history, but we're not even going to go there. I'm not going to even name one of them. They're all these sort of usual topics. So looking at the system, what it's encouraging, the first thing is contactless payments. But what are we paying? Where are we paying our attention? That is your time that you're paying with, what you focus your attention on. So let's have a look at this. You've got the material version of contactless. So what about in the metaphysical? I would suggest that is saying have less contact with these external scripts that is being implied, but obviously in a very twisted way. And of course, when there is no human interaction, when you get to the checkout, you've got these automated tills, which in the UK at least are called self-service. But again, self-service, there's a negative connotation to that, something that is where you're being self-serving. But ultimately, in being self-serving, when you realize that everything is connected, you're, in a way, you're sort of helping your greater whole self. But generally, the self-service is just material gain and obviously limited to the material world. But the self-service, when it's doing the internal work and then has a radiance that is benevolent, I see that there is nothing wrong with that. Again, we're in this realm of duality, so there's always a positive and a negative connotation to all these things. So it's just observing the signs. It's a bit like here, we've got these water pipes, and where we've had the wild boars churning up the soil, they've buried some of them. So rather than taking a ball of string into a maze of a conspiracy theory, I would suggest that you focus more internally. And what actually happens is you'll find there is a guide rope that you have left yourself. For example, you may have heard a song 100 times over, know the words off by heart. But that 101st time you hear it, there's maybe one line in the song that really stands out and you hear it in a new way. There's your guide rope that you left for yourself. It might be worth to see where that then leads, because it's there. Once you start seeing these things with the mind's eye and this communication that happens through feeling, you get to see this guide rope appearing more and more. to put it in terms of Neville Goddard, there is only one playing all the parts, omnipresent, omnipotent. Think of it like if you're the creator, you've gone into a multi-story car park and there's a huge choice of vehicles in which you can get in. They're all the physical bodies. So you've done the Humpty Dumpty, you've fallen into what you've created and shattered. So hence here we are, these individual little bits of shells of this Humpty Dumpty. So the human shell is quite literally a shell that is part of this cosmic egg, this Humpty Dumpty, of which we are all a part. So you've got one playing all the parts, and I don't feel that collectively we are a self-harmer, but how easy it is, it's ridiculous in a way. It's like with one human body, it's like your own cells fighting with each other, and dividing into groups of cells. We could obviously apply labels and things, and this group and that group and the other group, and that one doesn't get on with that one. Imagine how that would feel as a unified whole, to see aspects of yourself infighting. It sounds quite ridiculous, but effectively that is what is happening in this reality. But it doesn't have to be that way, does it? And of course, that has to come from within each and every one of us individually. So again, it comes back to being selfish. It's for selfish ends. The self being the singular one of which we are part. The only thing that changes the polarity between the negative accepted version of what selfish means is that fundamental difference of whether you recognize that you are part of something greater collectively, but you're just an individualized aspect of it. And it comes down to that saying of, if you can't see God in everything, then you don't see God at all. And again, that's just a label. You can substitute source or whatever other term you want, but effectively it's still exactly the same message. There's a few things to ponder in this video. I think I've covered pretty much everything I wish to say this time round. I hope that helps make sense of things. And my testimony is I've got to this point where, as I said a little while ago, I'm in this, every day is one of gratitude. That question about what day would you have, if you could choose a day, what day would you have as your Groundhog Day? Well, every day I'm finding more and more I can say the answer would be today, and applying to whatever day that question was asked. It's just beautiful watching everything unfold, the way the manifesting is getting easier and easier in infinite little ways that, I think I've said this before, that they're of themselves, they're quite small and would seem quite trivial, but as a whole, they build up into this magnificent picture. It's like looking at a picture, pixel at a time. One pixel at a time, I suppose, is the best way to describe it. So, my testimony is to really focus on that inner work, really find out who you are. Look at your situation that you're currently in, because you're a presence in the present. Reevaluate things. Draw up a list of 10 negative things about your situation and then balance it with 10 positives. And where you can, try and adjust so you bring them all sort of into balance, the counterparts, as best you can. I can't really give a sort of one-size-fits-all answer to anything, because we are all individual and you've all got very individual circumstances. So But as a general thing, that would be something I would look to doing. Weigh up your life, and then from that you may find what you could prioritize, what you want to adjust as and when you can. But ultimately, you set the limits on what you would say you can or can't do. All things are possible to he that believeth, is the biblical quote. Because you can change your reality. Again, this is something I feel I've proven, and I've physically moved. And I didn't pay for the travel to get here. That was all funded on my behalf. All I did was go with the law of assumption and visualized asking myself, what would it be like if I was in a warmer climate? How would I be? And I feel my health would benefit with being in a warmer climate, and it certainly has. No longer having to use a walking stick, for example, which I was when I was in Scotland. And this is hardly flat terrain here, so I put myself forward as a sort of living proof that it can be done. And if you go back to a few videos ago, I'd got to that point where I've got a very small melon left and no other food left. I'm either going to have to forage or drink water, and the only option that was really open was, fortunately, I'd got a YouTube channel to ask for help, which in turn is sort of leading somewhere. As I mentioned on the last video, the one-to-one mentorship is available for anybody that would like, maybe struggling, and I may be able to give you a new perception on things that in itself won't actually change the situation, but if we can change your perception on it, nothing will change in the outside world unless you change inside you, basically. So the option is there for anybody that would like that, and the door's always open, subject to solar power and Wi-Fi connection, but we get around these things, we always do. There's always a way. So yeah, I think we'll end that there and say love to you all, and if you're struggling, the door's always open, and hopefully this has inspired you in some way, helped uplift you, helped maybe make sense of this reality, to see that it is just a realm of contrasts. They're there for a reason. There is nothing random with no reason behind it, no sun behind it. It's finding that sun, it's finding that guide rope that we've left ourselves and being able to pick it up and find our way home, as it were. But while we're in this experience, then I feel it would be far preferable to make it a pleasant experience, one that we enjoy, and by radiating out that feeling and being benevolent, it really does change everything around you. Visually and in the material sense, nothing seems to change, but certainly the energy of people changes around you. The people you encounter will change as well. We are basically magnetic, so I can help talk you through how to do that from my own experience of doing it, if that would help. There's going to come times I will probably need help, and I shall be reaching out to various people, because none of us are perfect, none of us are infallible. We all fall off every now and again, and sometimes we just need that encouraging word, that feel of a positive energy from another can make an enormous difference. So I'll leave that there and say love to you all, and I wish you all a beautiful, beautiful day.